Imagine this. You're cruising at 40,000 feet, probably enjoying a glass of wine. The seatbelts are off, the cabin lights are dim, the conditions outside are cloudless, and suddenly there's a big jolt. The plane has started shaking. You feel a pit in your stomach. This is known as turbulence. Now, we've all heard of bumpy plane rides, a few jolts here and there. But what if turbulence turns deadly? This was Air Europa flight UX045 flying from Madrid to Uruguay. But mid-air, it ran into turbulence. It was so bad that passengers, who were then patients, were thrown out of their seats. Some of them went up in the air, others hit the ceiling. One passenger was hanging out of the overhead luggage compartment. People had multiple cuts on their bodies. Some even had fractures. The situation was so bad that the plane had to make an emergency landing. It landed in Brazil. 30 passengers were given emergency care. 10 others were taken to the hospital. Now, if you feel like you've heard this before, you have, because deadly turbulence is becoming the new normal. In the month of May, severe turbulence hit a Singapore Airlines flight. The plane dropped around 178 feet in less than 5 seconds. One passenger died of cardiac arrest. 20 others were sent to the intensive care unit. 71 were heavily injured.
It was pretty bad, yeah. But there were lots of people in worse positions than me. People were laying out on the floor and they couldn't move. They were completely paralysed.
In the same month, a Qatar Airways flight had a similar experience. It was flying from Doha to Dublin. 12 people were injured. Another Turkish Airlines flight too dropped mid-air. The turbulence was so bad that a flight attendant broke her back. So what explains all these incidents? What exactly is turbulence? Why is it becoming more dangerous? Will air travel become deadly in the future? First, let's look at turbulence. Turbulence takes place when a plane flies through disturbed air. It is expected in most cases, like when planes are flying over seas or mountains, or when a plane is flying through a thunderstorm cloud. Usually it is mild. In some cases, there's moderate jolting. Pilots expect it. They try their best to keep the flight steady. And all of this is part of regular flying, nothing new there. But then comes clean air turbulence. The conditions may be perfect. There could be no clouds in the sky, but the plane is suddenly hit by a stream of air. It makes the plane shake. Now, clean air turbulence is very difficult to predict, and it's getting more and more severe. The reason is our usual culprit, climate change. Since 1979, severe turbulence has only risen. It's gone up by 55%. And scientists point towards the changing climate. Warmer air from emissions is changing how jet streams work. So plane rides will become more bumpy. Are there any routes that you should avoid? Well, turbocharged turbulence is a global phenomenon, but a few flight routes will be more affected, like the North Atlantic, Western Pacific, Southeast China, and Northern India. If you're flying over any of these routes, expect more turbulence. Which brings us to a very important question. Is air travel becoming dangerous? Well, there's nothing soothing about flying in a pressurized metal cabin, thousands of feet in the air. But in general, flights are quite safe. Modern planes are built to be sturdy. They can hold up against the worst of turbulence, so do not worry about them breaking apart mid-air. But it's not just us. Airlines hate turbulence too. It's terrible for the planes. Turbulence leads to structural damage. Every year it costs the airline industry up to $500 million. So what can we do about it? Of course, we cannot prevent turbulence, but airlines are now investing into more sophisticated technology, radars that will be able to predict the weather ahead. Plus, more and more airlines are sharing data so that everyone on a turbulent route gets a warning. Which brings us to you, the passenger. What can you do? Well, not very much. You will probably have to sit through it. But here's a piece of advice. Keep your seatbelt on at all times, no matter what the sign above you says. It may sound restricting, but it could become the difference between life and death. planned by the defense moved across to the West Indies. What can you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
Start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.